Good evening. We welcome everyone to our April 27th, 2021 work session / board meeting where we are champions for students. A quorum has been established and I call to order our April 27th, 2021 work session / business meeting. May we pause for a moment of silence. Thank you. I now call for a motion to approve the April 27th, 2021 work session / business meeting agenda.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve the April 27th work session business meeting agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. May we vote, please, by raising our hands and also electronically. The motion has carried. Thank you. I now call for public comment. I do have one public comment. I don't know if anyone else has signed in. I don't believe so. The one public comment that came in electronically is as following. Angela Vaughn, and the subject is graduation / cap and gowns. Why do we have limited tickets when it comes to football games? Grandparents, sisters, brothers, aunts, and uncle that have been there and that have been there the whole time and can't come. I know panel will be full of superintendent office and don't need them. One person will do. Next, the cap and gown. You make a list of what they should wear. It's summer and closed toes are not in and are, I'm trying to interpret. I believe she's saying basically that because it's summer and the closed toes are not in and had to get it out and about. The dresses for the ladies, the color is not all that important. How can they get a dress with the rules you have in place and no gown that I paid for and school holding it? As a parent, I am not a last minute person. I know you don't have the answer and you will meet again and again before anything is said. Maybe a week before graduation and we wonder why the numbers are so low in Warren County and parents move their kids. Everyone wants to have a title and not do their jobs. So this came from Miss Angela Vaughn. We will take this public comment and someone will be in contact with you. Thank you for your public comment, Ms. Vaughn. I believe that's all the public comments. All right, now we're under informational and we have the pleasure of having someone that is very dear to all of us, I believe, because she graduated here in Warren County Schools, and I believe she told me that it was in '83. Not telling her age, she's still a young woman. But we have the pleasure of having Dr. Tanya Askew with us this evening, and she brings so much value to today's meeting, and we're happy to have her. She's a business owner, she is a consultant, she's a researcher. Doing her day job, she's definitely a project manager, but more importantly, she has roots here. And we're so happy that she, and I appreciate Ms. Sims for inviting her to come. And she took out of her busy schedule to come out and just share some information with us today that I think is going to be vital. So let's welcome Dr. Askew. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tally Bailey, and thank you all again for inviting me here.
Absolutely.
And thank you for that introduction. As you mentioned, I have a vested interest in Warren County.
I believe it.
I was born and raised here. I attended Marion Board Elementary School, Hawkins Junior High, John Graham High
Yeah.
School, and a 1983 second class graduate from Warren County High School.
Exactly.
So I have deep roots. My parents are still here, Richard and Ruby Askew.
Yeah.
And lots of family members and friends. So
That's all right.
again, my heart is here, and I'm invested in this community. And tonight, I really wanted to come and just share information with you.
Thank
So
you so much.
thank you for having me. So again, one thing I didn't mention is that I'm also a doctorate graduate from North Carolina A&T State University.
Oh, woo-hoo.
So a second-time graduate from North Carolina A&T State University, where my focus was on women in leadership. So that's another reason that I'm so
Wow.
passionate about being here and sharing the information that I'm going to share with you tonight. Next slide, please. So why am I here? Again, I have a vested interest. So really to educate, to engage, and to empower this community to increase the diversity and equity in business growth for our minority businesses in Warren County. So later I'm going to take you through why that's important. But again, to provide information and awareness about the historically underutilized businesses, which is also called HUB, and why it is important. And then to help you understand the resources and the programs that are available to you, and I'm here to help. So I want to also acknowledge that Valerie Jordan, who is also born and raised here and has a heart and a passion for Warren County,
she
is
does.
also in partnership with me and our other coalition members to make sure that Warren County will be successful. And then as I talk about the disparities, I want to identify the disparities that exist in regarding the distribution of HUB dollars for our Black businesses, specifically in Warren County, and then talk about next steps on how we can educate, engage, and empower our minority businesses for contract opportunities. Slide. Next slide. So these are some questions that I thought to give you an opportunity to ponder, not necessarily to have that conversation tonight, but like, do you know how many businesses are minority businesses and how many women businesses are in Warren County? Do you know who your contract procurement officer is? Do you have a process, or do you know what your process is for selecting and awarding those contracts for Warren County, specifically for Warren County Public School Systems? How do you track those? Do you know who and how that's reported? Do you know how many HUB certified businesses you have in Warren County? Do you think there are any disparities here in Warren County as it relates to minority businesses? And are you aware of the historically underutilized business participation goal of 10%? So these are just a few questions, and I'll answer some of them as I go through this presentation. Next slide, please. So what is HUB? HUB, historically underutilized business, is a statewide certification for minority businesses. It is based on a North Carolina statute, Statute 143-128 4.2, which basically said that in order to become HUB certified, you must meet one of the following criteria, or must meet the following criteria. The criteria is, and this is paraphrased, that you must have at least 51% ownership in a business. And you must be a member of either Black or African American community. You must be Hispanic, Asian American, American Indian, female, disabled, or disadvantaged. So let's talk about how this came about. As I mentioned, I'm a graduate of North Carolina A&T State University. Dr. Forrest Toms was not only my professor, but he was my advisor, and he gave us a class assignment back in 2012, and he asked us to analyze the HUB business, the HUB historically underutilized business data. And what we did was looked at 20 counties that had the highest African American population. And we looked at the community colleges, state universities, and public school systems in those 20 counties. And then as a result, we produced a very comprehensive report, which I'll show you a snip of later on today, of capturing data for 10 metro counties with the highest African-American population. And then we looked at also 10 rural areas that had the highest population of African-Americans regardless of population. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see that Warren County actually made that list. So these are some of the counties that we actually did the research on that are included in that guide. Next slide, please. So this is a quick view of the front cover of the guide. As I mentioned, it's about 217 pages. It's a very comprehensive report. Not only does it cover the hub utilization for community colleges, state universities, and public school systems, but it also looks at census data, health disparities, and other it's a rich history of those 20 counties. So I encourage you to download the link, and when you get a chance, just take a look at the guide because it will provide lots of information. These are some of the pages that I extracted from the information regarding Warren County. And again, it talks about the voter registration. It looks at census data. Now, certainly, we have not had a census since like 2010, so that information, some of it is up to date, but this research is from 2012 all the way to 2019, which is why it's so comprehensive. Next slide, please. So I wanted to give you a snapshot of Warren County. And this chart actually shows you the poverty rate was for Warren County, Warrenton, and North Carolina. So if you look at the poverty rate for Warren County, you can see it was 15% back in, this was done back in 2017. The poverty rate in Warren County is higher than the poverty rate in the state of North Carolina back then. And if you look at the poverty rate in Warrenton, you can see that those are some other disparities. So look at the per capita income. It also looks at the median household income, and then also the educational attainment between Warren County, Warrenton, and the state of North Carolina. If you look at Warren County as a glance, as I mentioned, we looked at populations with the highest African-American population. Warren County has 50.1% Black or African-American population, as opposed to 38% white. If you look at the average age, it's about 48 for Warren County. It's split in the middle for male versus female. If you look at 94, Census Tract 9404, it's that 401 corridor coming into Warren County. So you can see that population is about 63% Black versus the white population is about 30%. Next slide, please. So some of the things that the data revealed for Warren County also is that there are about 379 businesses owned by women in Warren County. 23 of them have paid employees. There are 385 Black-owned businesses, but only 14 have paid employees. So predominantly all the businesses in North Carolina are sole proprietors, it looks like. But when I did this research and I pulled a report from that the Hub office provided, only one business was Hub certified. Does anybody know who that is? Can anybody guess? So I'll talk about that on the next slide, but I just want to show the next slide as this is a disparity study that was done, and I pulled this because it was an article that was written by the Justice Center, Department of North Carolina Budget and Tax Organization did this article. But if you can see, they says minority and women-owned business get fewer state contract opportunities, and that's pervasive across all the research that we've done about minority businesses and specifically women businesses. So if you look at the disparities here, specifically in the construction for the total minorities on the left-hand side, you can see the parity. You can see that above that line on the right-hand side, where all of the businesses for minority businesses are going. So it exceeds up to 142 for the non-minority businesses. So
Wow.
big distribution imbalance there, right? Next slide, please. So this is the chart that the Hub office provided, and you can see they have over 4,800 Hub vendors in the state of North Carolina. But Warren County has one that was identified in that report, and that's Mean Gene Trucking and Hauling. Now, hot off the press, I just got a text from Valerie that said that Warren County has 10 Hub businesses, so we now need to understand who those businesses are, which that's positive because the report said between 1 and 10 for North Carolina. So I just wanted to call that out, and so there's definitely a lot of opportunity here for Warren County. Next slide, please. So just wanted to talk a little bit about unemployment. Next slide. We looked at Warren County versus North Carolina. This is probably between June 2009, and if you look again in May 2019, if you look on the Warren County side, you see the unemployment rate is 10%. On the North Carolina side, it's 10.8. Not a big disparity there, right? Again, in May, opposed to May 2019, Warren County unemployment higher than the state of North Carolina. Next slide, please. This is a snapshot that was also provided by the Budget and Tax Office. If you can look at the unemployment rate, this is the monthly unemployment rate from January of 2010 to 2020. You can see that spike, how it went up in 2020 to 16%. Next slide, please. So let's talk about the public school systems and the analysis that we've done. Next slide, please. So when it comes to the historically underutilized businesses, you have two areas. You have the goods and services, and you have the construction spending. So let's go to the next slide, please. So Warren County Board of Education, every public school system is allocated a certain amount of funds for this funds distribution of goods and services. Warren County Board of Education, Warrenton, North Carolina, received $35 million for the purchase of goods and services. You have a population of 50% African American, but you only spent $23,000 out of $35 million on black businesses. $414,000 was spent with female businesses. This is still less than 2% allocated to minority businesses across the board. That includes all the minority businesses. The goal is 10%. Next slide, please. So this is just the breakdown of the data that I just showed you. So you can see between 2015 and 2016, every year, Warren County was receiving about $7 million. Average $7 million. But only in 2016 to 2017 that Warren County spent on black businesses the $24,000. And if you can see between 2015 and 2020, this is where they spent over $44,000. Again, across the board, none of the goal was met. The goal is 10%. But if we go back to the data, the previous charts, and we talk about the number of hub certified businesses that we have in Warren County, if the hub office has 1 registered for North Carolina, and then hot off the press we find it's 10, it's still a huge disparity. There's still lots of opportunity. Next slide, please. On the construction side, Warren County, not Warren County, but the state of North Carolina allocated to the public school systems, all the public school systems in North Carolina, a total of $645 million plus. This is between 2015 and 2019. I didn't even go back to 2013. Warren County didn't show up on the map. Next slide, please. This is a breakdown of what happened. So if you look at the construction spending between 2015 and 2016, you can see the allocations from the public school systems across the board. This is what was allocated to all the public school systems. No funds were allocated for minority businesses for Warren County. Next slide, please. This is the actual report, a snapshot of the actual report, but I pulled this one specifically for 2019 and 2020. So you can see the last, I guess this was 2019, it said 121 million. If you go to the next slide, please, you can see all the public school systems are listed in alphabetical order. So I'll pull the last page that Warren County should be on. So for every report from 2015 to 2020, where is Warren County? So it goes back to my original question. Do you know if you got on the hub goods and purchases, you received about $7.8 million a year. How is that money being allocated? Who are those contracts being awarded to? How are they being tracked? Do you know where your dollars are going?
Evidently not. Let me ask this question, Dr. Askew, real quickly before you leave that point. So what would be the reason that we would not know? I mean,
it's not being reported. One of the reasons is that, well, what is your process? Like, what is the process for you
to do bids?
To do bids and stuff with, when you submit a bid for?
Typically, we do three bids at a time. We actually do.
I mean, a lot of times when you put bids out, you put it out for the public.
Right.
So if the people that are a part of this see it, then they would apply.
Right.
So we don't discriminate against female, male,
Right.
black, white.
Right.
It's just whomever, similar to like the RFP
Right.
for the superintendent.
That's right.
You put the RFP out,
And whoever,
and whoever wants to apply. So
Submit.
we don't go searching for minority businesses to
Right.
apply. We put it out so that everyone can
everybody
see
can see
it.
it.
And so.
Is that not the right?
So this is where we can come in and help, and there's an
Okay.
opportunity here to
Okay.
help you establish some of those assessments and put those
Okay,
processes
thank
in
you.
place.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about
Okay,
that.
all right.
Okay? Next slide, please. So engage, how do we engage? And so this is part of
This is
that
part
next
of it.
step, suggested next steps. Let's have a follow-up meeting with the board members and bring in the community and have some community education forums. This is where we can get together with our local businesses and tell them about the certification process, what hub really means, and what the value is, what value there is to be certified. And then that gives them an opportunity when you have engagements or bids that are going out, that gives them an opportunity to bid on those. And because they are hub certified, this allows them to have that opportunity to bid, because you, according to the statute, you have to allocate at least 10% of your
To
budget
minority.
to minority businesses. Okay? So here again, we can come in and offer assistance and provide assessments on helping you establish a hub policy of practice. So put those practices in place. And then we want to partner with our community, county commissioners to schedule a community engagement meeting with those local businesses. I actually, about a week ago, went through and looked at all of the churches in North Carolina, in Warrington, and looked at the pastors to invite, because everybody has a congregation, and there might be business leaders in that congregation, all of our civic organizations. Let's get together and have a meeting. Let's identify who those minority businesses are in Warren County. Next slide, please. Which leads to empowerment, right? Once we have this meeting and help you develop some board policies for equity and diversion and inclusion, because you mentioned you don't discriminate, and we don't want to discriminate, but we want to make sure that our communities are taken care of first.
That's right.
We want to take care of home first before
That's
we
right.
look
We
at
wanna put
bidding
back into our
outside.
district.
Sorry.
We want to put back into our
Exactly,
district.
exactly. We want to grow and develop our communities.
Right.
And so we want to help assist with that development of a formal bidding process. I know you said you have, and you offered up to the community, but we want to help put those formal bidding processes in place. And specifically with Hub and DOT, but this is where Valerie mentioned that because she's the chairman of the Governor Cooper's
She
Hub
is,
Advisory
yeah.
Council now, and she has her role as DOT, she can come in and can help partner with us to help provide that level of education, training workshops, right? To help our businesses become certified, not only in Hub, but look at contracts that are coming from a Department of Transportation perspective to help our communities be prepared for what's coming ahead. Then we can also leverage the recovery opportunities for COVID-19, the economic downturn. As you know, President Biden is releasing this American Rescue Plan, and that's going to impact Warren County. Warren County is going to receive a significant amount of funds from that. So we need to be ready. Once those dollars are allocated, we need to be ready. One, we need to help empower our local businesses. And the way that we do that is to make sure we have the right policies in place, make sure we're doing the right thing as far as looking at the bids and making sure that they know how to bid. They know how to follow the process, they know what to do. And so we also want to create a partnership with Vance Broward Community College, because guess what? If you're thinking about building anything in the future, you're going to need certain skill sets, right?
Sure.
And so maybe we can build those partnerships with the local, since we have a satellite campus here. We can offer classes in HVAC, electrical engineering, anything that might help some of our local businesses grow and prosper. And so that's what we want to do. And next slide, please. Any questions? Any additional questions? So, that's all I have for you tonight. Just wanted to say again, thank you for your time. And if you
I have
any
one
questions.
question. When you said that, about the $35 million that was allocated and we didn't receive any, how do we access that? How do we access those funds? Is that something to be applied for?
Someone knows where that money.
So we
Yes.
got it, we just
You
didn't
have to
report.
find
We
out.
got to find out where it is.
You have to find out who received it and how it was allocated.
Okay.
Because if it was
So
not
what-
spent on hub businesses, and I understand probably why, because you only had one.
Or
So it's
according
not
to
that we didn't get
report.
the money, it's just they hadn't been reported for you
It
to
has,
be able to.
so there are two options. You got the money, but it wasn't reported, and there's a requirement to report. And, so even, it sounds like, even if you got the money, you don't know where and how it was spent.
Okay.
So there
Okay.
needs, then that's how we gotta figure out.
And is
That's
it
why I
la-
asked the question, do you know who your contract procurement officer is?
Is it labeled as hub money?
Should be.
Okay.
How comprehensive is the certification process? In other words, is getting certified part of the problem why people aren't certified or businesses? Is it costly? Is it lengthy? Is it challenging? I'm just curious
It's
as
a,
what it takes.
it's a free certification.
Okay, that's
So
good
it
to
takes
know.
time, and it's not a lot of time. The application is, if you have good books, if you keep good records, then it's simple. So you know your race, you know your ethnicity, you know your address, you know your phone number, you know if you're a sole proprietorship, you know if you have an EIN number, you know if you have if there are other members of your businesses, and you know, you allocate, if you're, what your ethnicity is, because the new process is that you cannot double count. You cannot be, I'm a double minority,
Right.
woman and black, but I can only be either one or the other. I can't be both when it comes to hub. So I have to decide, am I gonna be a black business owner, or am I gonna be a woman business owner? And so, and it's a pretty straightforward application, and it asks about, you know, what funds that you spend to start your business. And if you have the receipts and if you have the records, you provide those documentation, and now you can submit it online. Before, you had to package it up and mail it in. Now you can submit all this online in a PDF format. So it's very simple, and it's very, it may take maybe 2 hours if you have all of your documentation together. But the good news is the hub office, according to Valerie, has committed to come into Warren County and partner with us to help provide those
That was
training
Yeah.
and get our local businesses certified.
So that's what we need to follow up on.
Yeah, that's where I was headed. with
Because I
the
guess
question.
in my mind, like, when I had my business here in Warren County,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to the resources in the county with what's his name, Woodhouse? What was his
Stacy
title?
Woodhouse,
Mhm.
The economic development person.
Economic Development Director.
The economic development director. To me, when I went to file for my LLC and all of that, somebody there should have been able to tell me that I could apply to the HUD. To me,
Yeah.
that's where the resource should be,
Right, right,
right? For
Right.
everybody.
right. And
So-
so each county should have a hub officer, but I know that Warren County does not.
We don't.
Yeah.
Because if we did,
So-
I would know that. We
Right,
don't.
exactly.
So that's interesting. So you said Jordan will
She
follow?
and the hub office have committed to being a partner with us in this.
Great.
So as a part of the next step, if we could, you know, figure out who our local businesses are and set up this community forum and bring our businesses in, and then we can set up as a third phase, let's crawl, walk, and run. Then we start with the training.
So
and
we
the
would have to do that
workshops.
same process with the school system too?
I'm sorry.
We would have to apply for HUD with the school system too? The
Only,
same? Only if we're not a part of it?
only if you want to become a
A separate
certified business
Oh,
owner.
okay, I
Yeah,
got
so
you,
yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
I
But
got
just
it.
as because you're a
Just
public
because-
school system,
mhm.
you will,
We're gonna get the dollars.
You're gonna get the dollars
We're gonna get
anyway.
the dollars, okay.
We just don't know where our dollars went,
right?
And
Gotcha.
you don't know if it went to minority
or,
disadvantage, because
Right.
the only company was a trucking company, and
Yeah.
because we don't need trucking services,
it wouldn't have gone to
it
us
wouldn't have
nowhere.
gone to us. But now that we know that there are others, once that comes to light,
But-
that's where it comes down.
No,
But if
she
it's a
said we
hub
wouldn't
dollar,
get-
if those are hub dollars should be spent with hub businesses. So if they didn't come, if it wasn't spent in Warrenton, it was spent outside of the county
Mhm.
perhaps, but it still wasn't reported.
But we
So-
got it. Yeah, so what she's saying is we got the HUD money, but we just don't know where it was spent, how it was spent.
Can you help us find it?
Ms. Pulliam can speak,
Oh,
she's
I'm
raising her
sorry.
hand.
We see your hand, okay.
I can speak on it, the HUB report is a report that I do quarterly, and what it consists of is just as, Ms. Ashley mentioned, is that we do the report, and whatever HUB vendors that we spent with, we reported on. So it doesn't mean we got the money and didn't spend it as in limbo, we just report on whatever funds we spent specifically for HUB. So it's just a quarterly report, and we spent them with, we get a list from North Carolina that says, these are your HUB people. So every quarter, I
point, you don't know where that 90,000 was spent.
Yeah, I know where it's
You
been.
do know.
But
Okay,
it was
so
on,
that's how
it was
you
on
find out how much-
non-hub, it was on non-hub identified people.
Non-hub.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
makes
Okay,
sense.
so
That
this
makes
is where
sense.
you find your money.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I was just saying to Ms. Tyler Green, it was spent, but it was spent on non-hub identified people.
Right.
So
Gotcha.
we know where the money was spent,
Right.
but,
Okay.
yeah.
I got you.
So good, that's good.
Can
Any
I
other
ask you a
questions?
question? Is the intent then if we would try to spend the money locally, and if not, then do we go out a little bit further? So we, as in Warren County, are spending our dollars in in Franklin County or Northampton County? Is there an effort then to try to kind of still localize?
So Franklin
maybe
County
that
gets money,
service-
Halifax County gets money.
Warren
They
County.
all-
So if we have money to spend, but there's no one that provides that service.
Right.
That we're looking for. My question is, and do counties try to spend that money as locally as possible, even though it may not be the boundary of the
I'm sure they do.
county, in an effort to, then maybe they would reciprocate?
Yeah. Maybe you can ask that question, if you, do you guys spend, or what is that money? If you don't find a hub vendor locally, do you spend outside the county, or do you stay and just keep it?
It just depends on what we need and whichever vendor has what we need, and that's how we do the search. And I also want to mention that it's oftentimes that we stand with black,
Minority.
minority
Mhm.
vendors,
Mhm.
and they're just not hub vendors.
Right.
So that means they wouldn't be on their report.
Yeah.
So for example, on Main, we use them for different events, but they wouldn't be on that report.
Right.
What we spend with them. So that's just an example, but
Because they didn't know to apply for the HUD.
And also Lawrence.
Yeah.
We
They don't know.
contracted with Lawrence, who's a
Minority.
African-American minority, who could probably be hub. But
we
if he's
just
not
didn't
on the
know.
list, you don't get credit for it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean.
So
there-
then, again, lots of opportunities.
Yeah.
You are listing a lot of businesses that can potentially be hub certified businesses, and we can keep the money in the community.
Right.
So,
That's right. I tell you, any further questions?
And as pest control, I know the county uses
Oh,
that,
and we use them, and
and
they,
they're not hub.
Yeah.
but,
see,
I mean, so we
so
use
it's
a
because
lot
we
So
of
it
don't know.
sounds like,
businesses.
sounds like the next step is actually getting the businesses, like you said,
Right.
partner, getting the businesses and getting them certified hub.
Right.
So that we can get credit for
Right.
doing business
That's
with.
what it
That's
sounds
what
So
the
that's,
key
that,
is.
yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That's where our training needs to be.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But I tell you, Dr. Askew, we really appreciate you sharing this information, because
Yeah.
I'll be very transparent with you. I did not know
Yeah.
that we could apply to HUD, and look at the funding that we possibly could have tapped into if we, knew about it, because a lot of them probably have passed over because they maybe not able to do those contracts, government contracts or whatever contracts,
Right, exactly.
But we definitely would love for you and Valerie Jordan to come back and maybe at a different setting where we can kind of have some a little bit more hands-on and teacher training and stuff like that. I think it would be a great idea.
I think a community forum.
Yep,
Right,
community forum.
exactly. So that definitely is the next step, and so just let me know when we can come back
Yeah,
and
did you
we
leave
can
your,
make it
we
happen.
got your contact through Sam, so
Absolutely.
that's fine.
Okay,
Thank
I
you
have
so.
One
Yes.
quick question. Is the link to the guide in the PowerPoint? I didn't.
it is
catch
not.
it.
I
Can you
did
tell
provide
us
it
what it is?
to Ms. Sims.
I've sent it to you.
She'll send it to
Well, the
us.
public might want to know.
Oh,
Okay, that's true.
It's under One
Great
Step at a
point.
Time Consulting. It's on that website right now.
What is it called?
It's under One Step at a Time Consulting.
You send it to Ms. Nagorski, she can upload it.
on the website, okay.
Is it
I'll
some way
send it
we
to
can
you.
put it on our
Is it a link?
website?
I mean,
I can certainly send the
That's a
link.
great idea.
It put it on our website so they can have
Okay,
you
access
download
to
it.
it?
Click the link.
All right.
Okay.
All right, send it to me.
Okay, we'll make that happen.
Thank you,
All right.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
for your
very
time.
much. We appreciate your time. All right, I will now turn everything over to you, Dr. Young.
Good evening, Madam Chair
Good
again,
evening.
and board members. So we have 3 agenda items under information. We have school reopening update, we have school facility update, and we have state allotment methodology. And then Ms. Pulling will then come back and do action item on the tuition fee. So we have Ms. Jennings and we're gonna present this information on the school reopening update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay. Just wanted to give you some updated information on the State Board of Education and Senate Bill 220. I know that the bill was presented by legislators and signed by the governor on March the 11th. And we want to share some of the main points of this legislation, which includes, first of all, requiring that all K-5 schools open in Plan A 21 days after this bill was signed. There was a quick turnaround. However, it also allowed grades 6 through 12 to operate under Plan A or Plan B for the remainder of the year. But if an LEA wanted to move grades 6 through 12 into Plan A, they had to create a plan and submit it to the North Carolina DHHS for monitoring and collaborating with the ABC SC, those acronyms. Okay, the next thing this bill did was students or districts had to continue to offer a remote learning option to parents who wanted to remain as remote learning or virtual. We must include opportunities for our EC and our 504 students to attend on Plan A at all levels. Governor also retained the authority to close schools, but would not have the ability to close the entire state. So he could close down particular counties or districts depending on the COVID outbreaks at those schools. The State Board of Ed approved Plan A for 4 days of instruction, beginning with the week of April the 1st. But of course, you know, we were out on spring break, so we, you know, did what we needed to do when we returned. This also allowed for districts to continue with the asynchronous day, 1 day per week for the remainder of this school year. And when you look at that, we implemented our plan on April the 6th, which was, again, immediately after spring break. For our plan, Dr. Young did send out this to everyone, so I know you're familiar with it. For our elementary schools, students did move into Plan A on April the 6th. Students will be in person on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and remote learning took place on Wednesdays. This is asynchronous learning for all students. At the middle school level, we continued to remain in Plan B, where we had divided students into 2 groups. We had an A group and a B group. A group came to school face-to-face in person on Monday, Tuesdays, and they were remote the remainder of the week. B group attends in person on Thursday and Friday, and then they are remote the remainder of the week. Now, some academic updates, because we've been implementing this now since April the 6th. I just wanted to share with you some of the things that continues in our schools right now. The instruction has continued at all elementary schools 4 days a week as presented. Teachers have really been, I will say they've been wonderful because they had to teach both virtual and face-to-face students simultaneously at the same time. And I will say that is a challenge, but they have truly done an outstanding job with what they've been faced with. Schools have continued to have consistent schedules as to not to interrupt the sequence of learning. For example, when we were virtual completely, we had a schedule, a set schedule. We did not want to uproot families and make a lot of changes in terms of their schedules, but we wanted to ensure that we thought about families to keep that consistent for them. Not to mention, they had standards that they were implementing based on the pacing guide. And we wanted to make sure that, teachers were able to continue that process. Within the instructional schedule, there are embedded intervention times. There are a lot of interventions that are going on because we know students had gaps, but because of COVID, those gaps have widened. So we wanted to make sure we provide, opportunities for teachers to provide that, intervention time to start the process of closing those educational gaps. And then before I go on to high school, when you're considering that asynchronous day, those teachers have been continuously meeting to collaborate about their standards, about best practices, and the various resources to use with their instruction. So it's a wonderful thing when you can go across the district and you look in classrooms of certain grade levels and you see them teaching the same standards, maybe with a different instructional style, but they are teaching the same standards. So that kind of verifies that what we've been doing during the collaborative meetings has been effective. Are we where we want to be? No, we have a lot of work to do, but we're making progress. Now for the high schools, again, we're continuing on Plan B. We do have instruction that's been continuing. We're on the AB schedule for those students who elected to be in person. The teachers instruct again on high school level, both virtual and face-to-face. Schools do have their intervention time embedded within their schedules. The academic updates. Now, although we are in COVID times and we have adjusted schedules, we still have assessments that are required. So in order to understand where our students are falling, we have to provide assessments. We have to gain data in order to move students forward. So students engage in ongoing formative assessment, which is used to, instruct or guide instruction. We want to make sure that they can make adjustments to whatever it is that they're providing for students to meet their needs. So some of those assessments for our core instruction, which includes reading, math, and science, include the NC check-ins, SchoolNet, Study Island, teacher-created assessments, and that's not all inclusive, but whatever we can use in order to guide instruction is what we're implementing in the classrooms. Students are also engaged in other state-required assessments, and these are what we like to call high-stakes assessments, which include iReady, BOY, MOY, EOY. Although that's a mandate for grades K through 3, in our district, we also implement that for grades 4 through 8, so it ends up being kindergarten through 8th grade. The beginning of BOG is our 3rd grade assessment where we, provide this test at the beginning of the year. Then we have our end of grade and end of course assessments that students will have to take at the end of this school year. Asynchronous learning days, I mentioned earlier that on Wednesdays, these are designated as our district's asynchronous day, where there's no online or in-person instruction. Students have assignments, but they work on them at home. And this is also the day that teachers participate in the collaborative meetings across the district with all of the grade levels, all of the subject areas, and this is where they're sharing information about best practices and strategies. And we have resources, thanks to Dr. Young and the board. We were able to provide these consistent resources across the district. So this is where we discuss the best use of those resources and how to implement them with fidelity. Other areas that participate in collaborative meetings, we don't leave anyone out, would include the nurses, the counselors, the social workers, and anyone else in the district who need to get together and collaborate in their areas so that we are providing our students with the best possible instruction and services that they may need.
So can I stop you and ask a question
Yes.
can we go back to that slide, Derek, please?
This one?
So I just want to, for point of clarification, with that Wednesday when you guys collaborate and work together in different schools, like elementary with elementary, at Marion Board, maybe at Northside, collaborate, right?
Yes.
So when you guys do that, and you did say that you're still using it's the same curriculum, so they should be mimicking each other, right?
Right, but implementing their own instructional style.
And it may look different.
Yes.
But it's the same core, it's the same instruction.
Right, same materials.
Same material, same standards.
Yes.
Okay, and the reason why I ask that is because, like, for an example, let's just say if I had a child that was maybe at Northside in the 5th grade, but I wanted to transfer that child maybe to Marion Board. So if I did that, that child would not, they will be at the same place pretty much.
They should, because of the pacing guides. Right.
Right.
They're following the pacing guides, and because they're collaborating, if you move that child from point A to point B within the district,
Right.
they should just fall right in line with what's taking place in the classroom.
What would be the case where they wouldn't?
Only if they're coming like from another district, or if a
Right.
teacher, because you do have to consider your students. Let's say a teacher may have gotten behind maybe a week or so, but
But it wouldn't be
because
that
of the students.
big of a difference.
Right, it wouldn't be that big of a difference. They
Okay.
should still be able to go in and continue with the standards as printed.
Gotcha. Thank you for that.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for that.
I think you answered my question, but just clarification. So all grade levels are on the same pacing guide, as well as subjects at the middle school or high school? If there's more than one teacher, they're all using the same pacing guide?
Yes, and I will say this, they're all using the same pacing guides, but for example, we're just adjusting the social studies pacing guides to fit the criteria because the social studies standard changed this year. So anytime we have a change, they do have to give us an opportunity to update those pacing guides. So yes, they all should be using the same ones, and they all have them in their hands. They're on the website, as well as we send it directly to the teachers so that they would have them.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
What kind of feedback do you get from those collaboration meetings? I'm sure you guys go around and, see how things are going or how they're working. The majority of them are pretty pleased with,
They are, and with anything that you're implementing new, there's some things you're gonna have to tweak.
right?
And I will say, the meetings have been virtual, the entire year.
Uh-huh.
And there's an outline agenda, and the instructional coaches that we were so thankful to
Yeah.
end up having this year have been vital
That's
in
good.
how those meetings actually roll out.
That's good.
So we do have the opportunity to sit in on those collaborative meetings. The coaches are trained by Ms. Scott, our director, and, we actually just sit in and see, what's happening in those
Right.
meetings. So a lot of things are taking place,
Yeah.
and I think we're at a point now where we're really gonna start making a huge impact
Great.
in what's happening in the classrooms.
That's great. Thank
Okay,
you for that.
let me ask a question about your coaches. Are they certified in certain areas, for example, math, English, language arts? Are they certified in certain areas, or are they just certified teachers?
No, they are, except elementary. On our elementary level, you know how it's all inclusive, and you have K-5 or K-6 certifications.
But the middle school and high school, they are.
Right, for the middle school and the high school, we have, for example, one of our coaches is certified in science. So
Okay.
we teamed her with science
With
and
the science,
mathematics.
okay.
Whereas we have one that's certified in ELA, so we've teamed her with ELA and social studies.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
Thank you.
You're
As
welcome.
it relates to the facility, just want to go over some information so at least you know what's going on. So of course, we're still adhering to the CDC and the North Carolina DHHS protocols. In the event that there is someone that's positive, we do still quarantine our students and staff. And this is just a stat so that you will know, in relation to since reopening school, the number of staff that have been quarantined in the district have been 16. Number of students quarantined have been 66. And currently we have 6 students who have tested positive, 5 have recovered. So a total of, the 11 that were positive. The number of staff, we've had 0 staff that are currently positive and 3 recovering. And so that's a total of the 3. And we have quarantined 5 entire grade levels since returning to in-person learning. And it's been in both elementary, middle schools primarily. And the way that the interaction goes is if a student is positive and they've interacted with students, I'll just give you a prime example. When I sent you all that text the other day, we had a certain grade level student who, because of middle school, students travel all throughout the day with other 7th grade students. They don't stay with the same students all day. And so because of the interaction that student had who was positive, although they didn't ride the bus, so that helped. But we had to shut down that grade level because we didn't know who that student came in contact with in that grade level. In the event that a student, because we did have a situation where a student was positive, but they also rode a bus. So then we had to then shut down that grade level, and then we had to go back and track all the students that are on that bus and quarantine all those students on the bus and also the staff. So you have so not just the students that were quarantined, but the staff that came in contact as well. And that's where our numbers are.
Okay.
The next,
Ms. Bird has a question.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I do have a question, but I want to go back to the pacing guide.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, who's responsible to make sure that the teachers are getting the correct pacing guides? Is it the principal or the coaches?
Well, both. And I say that because during the collaborative meetings, the pacing guides are shared, and teachers have actually had input on creating the pacing guides. So they know what's there and they know what's in them. So at those collaborative meetings, they get the initial copy of it. And then once that happens, they're put online, and the principals also know that the pacing guides are uploaded on the website.
Okay, so has there ever been a problem where it was the information or the wrong pacing guides were given, or have you ever had that problem?
It could have possibly happened, and I say that only because of or during a transition of the standards or once new pacing guides were put in place. But it doesn't happen long. We do make sure that we let them know when we've uploaded new pacing guides.
And then too, doing observations, you know, the principal comes in and makes sure that they are following the pacing guide.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Because they have to have those for the observation.
right.
Did I answer your question?
It does.
Yeah, so there's several ways. I mean, when you're working with other teachers, if yours is not like theirs, there's a problem. If the coach comes in and observes you and realizes yours is not, there's a problem. The principal, assistant principal comes in, so there are multiple eyes.
Yeah.
And also, you know, you have director
Yes.
and our chief academic officer. So you have multiple ways to be able to look to see, to make sure that, you know, that teacher is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right, and we monitor that process just to make sure we're providing them supports.
Okay.
So the teachers come up with these, when they collaborate, they come up with pacing guide, or do y'all use other resources like the State Department?
Yes, ma'am. We have the, also any resource that we purchased, we try
Yeah.
to make sure that we align that with the
With
pacing
that,
guide
okay.
so that they know when to use that resource within the pacing guide. Any other?
And then just the last update in relation to school reopening is we want to provide you with the student enrollment of in-person instruction. So as you see, you have the name of the school, you have the number of students that are in person, and this was parents who opted in to do this. And then you have the total number of students in that school, and then just the percentage of students. So at this point, we have a little over 1,000 students who are still on virtual.
So most of the parents opted to stay virtual, the majority.
Yes.
I mean, and for those that want it, we opened it up, but like, you know,
Yes.
See, Vaughn has 58%, and Northside has 55%.
I'm just
So-
curious, I thought Warren Early College High School, I didn't think they had the option to do in person because it was
Virtual.
virtual.
And they are, okay.
it doesn't matter, you or I can speak to it.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay, so basically what happened is, on one hand, because of the logistics of the size, we weren't able to open it up to everyone. But we did have some students that were having some academic struggles. And so what we said was, based upon the students that had no academic challenges, we wanted to make sure that we brought them in to provide them with the support that they needed. Because what we didn't want to do was just say, we can't, because we couldn't open for everyone, but we knew that we had students that had some challenges, so we said, well, what can we do? And based upon the students that needed it the most,
That's
pretty
great.
much students that were failing, making D's and F's.
Right.
We were like, no, we need you to come in.
Yes.
And so that's where the 26. Did you want to add?
No, that's exactly what it is. We just wanted to make sure that we provided an opportunity for interventions
good.
at that school, because, you know,
well
we
as
have
other.
interventions at all the other schools.
that's
We
equity.
wanted that same option for
I was
those
just curious
students.
because
Yes.
we were
More
told that
online.
it would not be, they'd have to be online.
Yeah.
Right, and their college courses are still online. I mean,
Yes.
that has not changed. Yes.
And most of the college courses are really what juniors and seniors. So over half of the students were already online anyway. And so a lot of times, these were like 9th and 10th grade students
Right.
that, you know, we brought in. And I'll go back, 9th grade students, they transition in all 3 of the high schools. They've never been in their high school. That's the other piece, because they were 8th graders when they graduated in March. That was the last time that they were in school. And for most school districts, transition into 9th grade is some of the hardest times. And so on top of transitioning, you're transitioning and you have no direct contact with your teacher face to face. And so we wanted to make sure that those students who needed that were able to come in and get the support.
That's great.
Yes.
I know at one point we were talking about, or it was brought up to us that we were having an issue with kids logging on or the attendance. How is that now?
I will say we are still struggling with that. That has not, you know, changed. It's better, but it's not where it needs to be. So we are putting some things in place to make sure that you know, we know where the students are. For example, at Warren County High School, they're conducting what they're calling attendance audits. And that allows them to see, you know, where their students are, what's happening, and what can we do to make sure that they're getting online like they need to.
And I'll just add, one of the other things that you may or may not know that we also came into contact with and the knowledge of is that we had a number of our high school students, for whatever reason, because of the pandemic, they went and got jobs to help support their family. That's not, of course, the ideal thing that we want, but when you have perhaps a mother and a father who've lost their job and you have a teenager that can work at Burger King or
Why not?
Food Lion, and so that's been our competition as well. And so it was like, you say to the family, we need you in school, and the family says, we need to live. And so just so you know, those are some of the dynamics that we've also had to work out and deal with as well.
And we are making adjustments and, you know, to accommodate
Yeah.
as much as
Flexible
possible.
schedules and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
that's
I
good.
think one time someone said that the teacher would help them at night when
Yeah.
they get off work.
Yeah.
Yes, and
So that's good.
one option.
Because that was one of my thought process in terms of the total enrollment and the actual in-person in the schools itself. So what you just said was these students, they went and got a job.
We've had not a lot, I don't know how many, but I know we've come across students that have gone and gotten jobs to help their family during this time. And based upon whatever the work schedule is, there were chances that the work schedule overlapped with school. And so for us, it was being able to still provide support to that student, but then also taking into account the understanding that that student was working to help their family who potentially lost jobs during COVID and that were greatly impacted.
Okay, because my thought was that possibly because we were so close to the end of the schools, you know, schools closing, for, that maybe they didn't want to come back to school. So that was my process in thinking.
We've still continued to engage the students. You know, so the engaging of the students is not the issue. It's, and I go back to again, it's, you know, the attendance and saying, so many students, what they do is they work, if they do work in the daytime, they work, and then they go home at night, they look at the videos, and then they do the work on their own. You know, but they
Yeah.
still get the work
They still get
done,
it done.
but they're not in class
Right.
live.
The
So you
attendance, right.
still get the attendance credit because you go in and you do the work.
Exactly.
So we put other interventions in place.
That's good.
You know, but I go back again, who am I to say to a family, you know, you can be homeless and that child needs to be in school. That's not my position. My position is what can we do to support the family, to make sure the student still gets the education? Because I'd rather us engage them in alternative ways than for that student to actually just drop out.
That's right.
And
And
then
this-
that would be an issue.
And the state has provided us
The flexibility.
flexibility
Yes.
to do that in terms of attendance.
That's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
With 1,000 students still virtually learning, how are we doing with access to the internet and access to computers and maybe not, that might be a can of worms, I don't mean to, but just, and then how are we doing with the Starlink initiative and those, that may not be the right time to ask that, but maybe you're not the right person.
Okay.
Having
Now,
the
in terms of-
32 families that were going to get
I can
high-speed
I
internet.
can speak to
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were those families, for many of you may or may not know, that was that satellite program that the county wanted us to work with our families to do. Reached out to the families, and most of the families didn't want the service. And so now,
Even though it was free?
even though it was free, and Ms. Pulliam pounded, annoyed people, harassed people to sign up. And so what we said, well, if they don't want it, then let's go to another region of the county and offer it to people that would like to have it. And the service provider said, no, you have to offer it only to that community. And so that's what right now we're in limbo because we don't have enough people that have signed up for it to even offer it to everybody, because you have to have, I think, is it 30? You have to have 30 people sign up, and we don't have it. And we've tried, like I said, and so they've even said, you know, can you give us the names of the people so we can ask? And we were like, sure. I mean, we've been asking them, and maybe they may say yes to you, but they've been telling us no. But they just, for whatever reason, elected to not sign up. And it was free internet for a year.
Was it just only one area of the county that we
It was
could-
one area, is it Hollister?
We could only use that area?
Only the
'Cause 401
Hollister.
can't get the service either. We couldn't
But
look at
that's the company only allowed us to do Hollister, because when we realized that some of the parents didn't want it, we said, well, let's look to see what other
Yeah.
areas need it. And so we were like, well, let's ask them to join, to give them an option. And the company said, no, you can't, we only will provide it just to Hollister.
They call it their hexagon, we need to be in that hexagon area, and then they provide that power service.
So they chose Hollister. That's all I was about
They
to ask.
chose the
Who
hexagon?
chose the area for us?
I'm assuming they did, but when they all
I'm-
started, that's where the address came from.
So that was a part of that, when the county presented it to us, that was a part of the conversation to focus on.
And see, that's information that the community needs to know too, because it looks like maybe we're not trying to get, solicit them to get the services, so it looked like we're not doing what we're supposed to do. But if we can't force them to take the service, even though it's free, that's interesting.
And the county is aware of our challenge, and the company is aware of our challenge. And I guess because of the way the service is provided, the only thing I can think of is because if it's like an internet satellite, they only, from the satellite in the air, they only zoom in on a
That
certain area to give access. So it's not like they're gonna just give access to all the
I got you.
different areas. That's what I gather, because they said it's a certain hexagon that they only will give access to. And so that's potentially probably one of the reasons why it's limited to that.
I'm wondering, have we reached out to, people like, what's her name, Dr. Richardson, that, and they don't, right,
Email sent that to, I believe it was Dr. Richardson.
uh-huh.
And she sent out an email saying that she would let all those
Is that
Okay.
oh,
So we've done what we needed to do then.
I mean,
Yeah.
we
That's
pounded the
Oblique to
street
Richardson, right?
begging
We've
them
done
to
what we
sign
needed.
up.
Yeah.
But
Oblique
the
to
problem
Richardson.
is,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if we don't have the
Yes.
30, then the other,
can't have
whoever
it.
signed, it's either all or none.
All or none.
And that's where the challenge comes in. So if 15 signed up, we have to have 30, and the
30.
company won't move forward until we have 30.
So I'm just
Okay,
curious, do we have any, do we have any hotspots in that area? Because maybe we could do the trade-off. If we take the hotspot and they don't have internet and they have to do this.
That's-
Because I'm sure
that's
we got
interesting.
more than 30 in Hollister that needed a hotspot. You think?
That's a good idea, I hadn't thought
Do
about
our
it.
Yeah,
IT
so-
people know?
I mean,
Do they know?
I mean, we could do a trade-off. If we take the hotspot and you don't have internet, this is the
When you-
internet we're providing you,
Yeah, I
and
think-
they do that service
I think
instead.
that's a good idea. Now, I have another concern is, okay, so they have it free for 1 year. So they are expected to pay for it after that time.
And
That's the
why
key.
a lot
That's
of
the
people-
caveat.
That could be a turnoff to
Yes,
some of
because
them.
it was like, I
No,
think
they're not expected to.
$114 a month they have to
They're not
pay when
expected
this
to. It's
turns
going to be
off.
free, and
But
they-
it said
I know,
also,
but I'm saying that they're not required to do it, but that still they might say, well, 1
I don't
year,
wanna
then
pay the
I'm gonna
service.
lose everything else,
but it also said it was a possibility that it would go a second year. I remember when we looked at it, it was a
Yeah, they did
possibility.
say that.
Right.
Yeah, it said it was a possibility, I guess depending on the results, that they
Well,
would get 2 years.
You got to look at the way people think,
Yeah.
when they-
$114 a month, I'm not gonna be able to afford.
Right.
So for some, they were like, why even sign up
Sign
for
up
this?
for it.
And I can't financially keep up with it.
Yeah, I think maybe we might need to look at the hotspot situation. That might be a possibility.
Now, the hotspots are already purchased. We received some from the state, and then some we purchased. And the hotspot is gonna be available for another year as well, for free. So, so it may be a thing where those that had hotspots were like, if this is gonna be available for another year, and I have what I need, I don't need that.
But that's what I'm saying, if we took the hotspot back, they wouldn't have anything. So if we do it a trade-off, that's what I'm thinking, if we could do a trade-off for, that's still a year's worth of free service.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
and
just thinking.
that's something that we can look
Yeah,
at,
maybe-
but I
I'm
guess,
just
they
wondering.
have that option.
Yeah.
That's where,
Yeah, and you
I
don't
don't
wanna,
wanna take that option.
won't-
Right,
no.
just wondering if that's,
yeah, it's
might
a
be a
thought.
trade-off
It's,
to-
it's really a thought, but you don't wanna mess up the momentum of what it's already doing, because they're already struggling. And I know in the area that I live in, Hex Grove, why we didn't do that area? But anyway. Yeah, I understand. So maybe we just take a look at it. If you guys contacted Dr. Richardson, then she has the contacts to be able to reach whoever we need to reach. So I don't know what else we could need to do. Because that's the contact that I would think would be the hub of that community, so.
And I mean, they've been calling and calling and
Yeah.
calling. I
So.
mean, really harassing people to get them, but they were like, no.
Wow.
Well, maybe there's just not enough education, and maybe harassment's not it. Maybe sometimes you just have to really understand it and feel comfortable with it.
A lot of times people don't understand it. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's what I'm
true.
saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like such an opportunity, I
It
think,
is.
for our community not to take advantage of something like, you can suspend what you have and bring it right back.
And the young lady who works with the
You know.
Native
don't
American
know.
students here,
Miss Patricia Richardson.
Patricia, have you
Yes.
contacted her?
Yes, well, did we contact her?
Especially if
She'll
you're
be,
saying you
she'll
can't
be
get
a
on
good
if
one
there's
to
no
contact. She'll be a
Because she
good one.
does have access to the parents through the
Yeah.
grades that we have.
And,
so
and
that
she,
is
she
something
taught
that
at,
they can do.
the school there,
Something's
the
wrong with
Hollywood County, and so she has a, contact her.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for that, Ms. Jennings.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
So the next thing we have is the school facility update, and this is a collaboration between Ms. Jennings, Ms. Pulliam, and I. And so we'll just speak to it when we get to the slide. So if you can go to the next, so the building repair, so these are the estimates. So Warren County High School, it's estimated to be $260,000. And this is a pre-bid meeting that's gonna occur, tomorrow. That, DPI has coordinated, then they will look and they will, begin that process, of, having the companies to come in. What has happened is many of the companies that work through DPI has on their approved list, they pretty much say, if you wanna come out, they come out, they look at the building, they do the estimates, and so I'm gonna say, based on the estimates, it's higher than what we had originally allocated for. In addition, the Warren County Middle School is estimated at $1.2 million. DPI engineers are coming to examine the heat and humidity problems within the suspended ceiling to probe for possible solutions. And so, the other thing that I will add, though, is that, there's a potential that the board will probably need to have some more in-depth personalized conversations with the county and the county commissioners, because I'm not sure if, although the funds are there, we were told that we have to apply and they will decide if they approve it or not. And so I'll just leave that there.
So why have we not applied for it?
Because we haven't gotten the contracts yet.
Okay, so once we get them, what's the
We
next
will
step?
apply,
Okay.
but what I'm saying to the board is, you may wanna have some conversations with the board chair and the county manager, because I'm not sure if the funds will be approved for the district to have,
The 1.2 million.
for the 1.2 million.
Plus 260.
Although the funds are there, I'm not sure if it will be approved.
Right.
I think the last conversation at the facilities meeting we had when they were there, they said they were just waiting for the estimates, that we would be.
But
So-
typically what happens is,
Get the
is
money.
the superintendent and the board chair has a meeting with the county manager and their commissioners. So when can we do that?
Once we get the numbers in.
Mhm.
And the only reason why I say that is because I meet with the county manager monthly, and last week was our meeting, and so his finance director and I and Ms. Pulliam met, and so that's why I'm saying what I'm saying.
Okay.
It did not sound promising in relation to the
Oh,
approval
I
of it.
get what you're saying.
And so that's,
why I
you
said,
know,
yeah. I understand exactly what you said, so that's why I'm asking. So when you guys get these bids, we need to schedule a meeting, so you, I, Victoria, the Commissioner Hunt and Davis, and the county manager meet immediately, so that we can get this, we can get the process started, because we gotta apply for it, right?
yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it was reiterated, they have to approve it. And that's the piece I keep saying. They have, so if they, although the funds are only designated, and this is what I
For
said.
us.
The funds are only designated to Warren County schools.
Right.
Only Warren County schools can use the money.
Right.
But even within that, they are a conduit of the money But even through all that, they determine if it's approved or not. And that's the piece I'm just wanna keep reiterating. If they do not approve, then this will not get done.
Is there a deadline?
It's just when the bids come in, then we, apply.
So this is now, we're now with the, with DPI versus the gentleman that came in and gave us the feasibility
Yeah,
study.
David
So-
Cantor.
David, yeah. So we're now, we've left him and we're only dealing with DPI now?
So what he did was he did a facility study,
Did a
and
scope.
but then in addition to the facility study, he then said, now if you wanna use me to do this
Right,
work,
okay, right.
this is my money.
Mhm.
But we only paid him just to do a facility study
Okay.
for us.
Mhm.
Okay.
But, but he was trying to be dual
Right.
Right.
in the efforts to try
Okay.
to secure that contract
That's
as
right.
well.
Right, okay.
But we can have the meeting without, we can have the meeting as soon as possible. Right?
Yes, but it would probably be good to know what the exact
exact
numbers
numbers are.
are.
Okay.
From the companies.
Okay.
Because this is just an estimate.
And they'll
So-
put the
so-
bid out tomorrow
No, so,
for the high school tomorrow,
so DPI, the pre-bid they'll be out tomorrow
for both of them.
for the pre-bid meeting. No, tomorrow is just for the high school. And then
When will
DPI
the-
engineers, they have to come and they have to examine the humidity problems. And then, so what tends to happen is they will come, they look at the scope of the work, and then they have companies that will come in and say, based on the scope of the work,
I get the
this is
process.
what's needed.
My question to you is, if DPI came and did the scope of the work for the high school, why would we not have them do the scope of the work for the middle school at the same time?
That's their process.
They couldn't have done it at the same time.
That's whatever.
I guess what I'm saying is that, because we know we needed those two schools, and they said, the county commissioners specifically said that they would help us with, I know for sure, the roofing.
Mhm.
So if we're gonna move in that direction, why would we not have, used the buck for, to get them to do it at the same time, for time, so we could have had tomorrow be for bids for both of those? How soon can we get them out to look at the middle school?
So the middle school, that's what I'm saying. So before they can do the pre-bid, the DPI engineers want to come and they want to examine the heat and humidifying problems. Because what happens is, the process for the high school is just you remove the
I got
solar
that, yeah,
panel, they fix it.
yeah,
Whereas the middle school is more in-depth.
I got you,
And
right.
so that's why the engineers have to now come out. So they came out, they looked, and they were like, okay, now we need engineers to come, because the other thing that I would say is, you also have to, you're gonna have to, whoever comes in and does it, they have to reconfigure the building, like architect, have to like redraw and structure, because if you build what you have, you're gonna get what you got, it's gonna leak again. And so it's a more in-depth process.
I guess my thought is like Madam Chair is saying, they started
Yeah.
coming out in February.
Yeah,
DPI was
It-
here in
it doesn't make
February,
sense.
so why, we almost in May now.
yeah.
But they
Wow.
have
So-
115 school districts that
And
DPI works with.
All I'm saying is, Dr. Young, is please, 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 as soon as possible, get the people here to look at the middle school, please.
Yes.
That's it.
So this is in one of those cases that, like Dr. Askey was talking about with the
Yeah.
bids and the hood dollars.
Yeah,
Is this?
Well, because we go through DPI handles that. They handle this
they
process.
solicit the bid process, but same process.
I have a question if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, just for clarification, so the high school roof, DPI has come and looked at it, is that correct?
Yes, they've looked
And
at
so-
both the high school and the middle school.
That's
Okay,
what I
so-
thought.
Okay,
Mhm.
so now there will be bids placed on that?
Yes, the
Okay, so
pre-bid
then who
meeting,
determines the winner of the bid? Because who's our maintenance person?
so
So
DPI
what-
determines.
They determine,
Mhm.
okay? DPI will determine who gets the bid?
Mhm,
DPI will determine who gets the bid.
Right.
mhm.
Okay,
Oh.
okay.
So maybe that's the reason why we maybe not have the local funds.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if that's how it was done in the past. I mean, it's more convenient to have DPI do it because they have the experience from our.
They know
That's what
that,
I wanted to make sure, who is,
that's not how it has been done in the past.
But it wasn't done like that
Right,
Because we don't have that many hubs.
exactly.
So I guess my question is then that whoever gets the bid is not necessarily gonna be the lowest, because it's who's gonna fix it right.
No, when I spoke to
That's
Mr.
what I
Stewart,
wanna know. Who's
basically
gonna fix it?
DPI, he said always takes the lowest bid. Now, so I'll back up and I'll say, the reason why we went the DPI route is because DPI ensures that they have all of the
Yeah.
certifications, they ensure like, so similar to like what the school district did when you all built this building. You all did your own RFP, and what happened is when the company went out of business, your warranty for the building went out of business. Whereas when you go through DPI, they go through all of those things to make sure that the warranty still stays in place.
That's my question.
And so you wanna go through who makes sure the warranty is still in place. Whereas going out on your own, you can do that, but understand what has happened in the past, when Warren County has done that, when the companies went out of business, you lost your
Yeah.
warranty.
Okay. And then last, the high school, what part of the roof is that?
The high school, there are a couple of different places
Is that
that we
like-
were, we'd have to
Are
follow
we
back
talking about
up and let you
repairing
know.
the Warren County High School roof and replacing the middle school?
So the Warren County High School roof, there are certain areas. I know
So that's a
we talked
repair.
about like over there where the gym, that area. We talked about where the biology lab, that
Right.
area.
It's a repair.
Yeah, so there are about 3-4 places on the roof that needs to be repaired.
And the middle school is,
The middle
The whole
school is the
thing.
entire roof.
because it needs
Okay,
it.
I just wanna be clear so we can
Okay.
sell it.
Okay. All right, and I agree that DPI is the route to go. I'm not disagreeing with that, because look at where we are with this high school, this school now, so I get it. It makes sense, but we just need to kind of move quickly because, you know, we
And I
need the
understand.
money.
But we've been, so what Mr. Stewart does, he contacts the person.
Yeah.
And then they look at their schedule and say, this is when we
When
can
we
come
can do
out.
it.
So the process has happened not because we've just waited. We've waited to get in on their schedule.
So
Yeah.
find out what the
And
schedule
COVID
is.
might have something to do with that.
I'm
you know,
sure.
So,
I'm
with
sure
the
it has.
scheduling.
But let us know
Yes.
an update.
Yes. And then the next, Ms. Pulliam.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So what we have here are those, cost savings of these particular areas for the modular. If we were to sell that modular, now, we could get 137,852.
That's a nice little piece of change.
It is. And, that's excluding the cost to move it and to disconnect all of those items, which is about 100,000. So this is already less that amount. And then the electricity for that module, that's the amount. And then the transportation at shuttle, that's the savings at 2,400, and for a total of 157,466.
Wow. That's
The
good.
electricity and the transportation is for the year or a month?
For the year.
For the year?
Yes, ma'am.
That's good.
So that will be for the entire
Entire
school year.
Okay.
Yes.
So of course, the modular will be a one-time.
Right, right.
And then the electricity and transportation will be
The
an
whole-
annual savings each year.
Right,
Yes.
right. That's
Any
good.
questions? So.
Thank you for that.
Mhm. So when we did the parent survey, we sent the parent survey out on May 8th. And because of participation, we then had the principals to resend the survey out again on April 6th. And based on the responses, so at Northside, there are a total of 117 students who would be within this range of transferring to Warren County Middle School. Of the 117, 68 parents responded. 34 said that they will enroll in Warren County Middle School, and 34 said that they will leave Warren County schools. At Marion Boyd, there were 53 students total in the 5th grade who would be going to 6th grade. 46 of those parents responded. 45 said that they would go to Warren County Middle. 1 said that they would leave Warren County schools. Vaughn, there were 38 5th graders who'd be transitioning to 6th grade. 22 responded. 21 were enrolled in Warren County Middle School, and 1 said that they would leave the county if they didn't have that option. Any questions? So we have a total of 30 so far. Although we don't have 100% participation, we have about, 36 parents that have said that if you were to
They would leave.
they would leave.
So help me understand, so Marion Boyd, one will leave Warren County Schools. We don't know because they can't go to Northside?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's the same for all of them. So they said if they were given if Warren County Middle School were the only option and the north side were to close, they will leave the county.
That's definitely something that needs to be unpacked at another time. Those numbers from that
Well, really,
school.
what I think we need to do is, we really need to have a town hall where we talk to the people
That's right.
ourselves.
That's right.
Because, okay, 34 people that will leave, tell us why, what can we do to accommodate? What can we, we
That's
really
right.
need to have a town hall and we can start at Northside, since that's the high numbers. So we need to be thinking about when we can have a town hall to address these parents.
And I know you said that after you get these numbers, then you wanted to have a town hall
We do,
after you get
yes.
this. And that's
And
when you and I
this is
spoke.
good data, because we see where some of the, I would hate to lose 34 kids, so find out what can we do to accommodate those kids. And the principal, and, they may know better, but at least we can talk to those parents if somehow we can just talk to them. And let them see, through our lenses too.
And-
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the next slide was Ms. Jennings, just to provide you with the South Warren closure.
And I know that you all requested this information. There were 35 students who transferred out of Warren County Schools when we did close South Warren. And when you calculate the funds lost, it comes to $417,061.
So that's a good number, because if we can use that number, from that data, then if we lost the 34 or 35 students from
I think
Northside, we'd be
30
losing the 436,
36.
I'm sorry, 36.
Mhm.
It'll be right around the same number
Same number.
of money that we lost from the district.
But that doesn't include, that's just of those parents that have applied.
Right, not the
Because-
ones that didn't
yeah.
respond.
Because we don't know, of the 117 at Northside, 68 replied, we don't know if that difference may just stay or may leave.
Right, that's true.
And so,
But usually, if you don't participate, typically you're gonna remain, hopefully. We don't know.
And see, and a lot of times they look at what they have heard about the middle school.
Right.
So we have to make that better.
We have to sell it, our own self.
That's right,
Right,
that's right.
yeah, yeah.
and so then the next step was just, and the reason why I put this here was because time is of the essence. Because where we are right now is, parents don't know where their children are gonna be next school year.
Right,
The application process, is a little cumbersome, and they've not received any applications. I mean, there's been nothing. And so a part of it is just saying, working backwards, they would either leave the 6th and 8th grade students at Northside K-8 or transfer to Warren County Middle. And if the option is right now to do nothing, I just want to say that the longer you wait, it impacts where students and parents will decide to go. Just want to put that out
so
there.
that's a good point. So how long do we think it would need to take for us to advertise a town hall? Because we can do it as quickly as possible, when you want to get the information out, so that the parents can adjust their schedules, because we can do it in the evening when parents get off. We can provide some type of something for them to come and eat if they wanted to, in bags or something, so that they can come right from work and bring their kids and discuss with us. You guys, what do you guys think?
I'm just thinking about the 50%. I think, is it the counties, is it 50% or 75% occupancy?
If what now, say it again?
Because I know, like, say we were to just do Northside and say all 117 parents came, I'm just wondering, for COVID, would it be better for you all to do a town hall virtually or to have them come in person? The only
Okay.
reason I'm saying that is because, I don't know, is it 50
Well-
or 75% capacity? I'll have to look.
But what that made good sense. I hadn't thought about virtual. It's a town hall.
Because I had like 2 or 3
Yeah.
town hall
Yeah, that's a
virtual
good point.
meetings.
We could do it virtual if you get more people in and talk to them. I don't have a problem with it. I said in person because sometimes it's better to be hands-on, but I know some people don't want to be in
Yeah, would it be better to have it at another school? that's larger?
That's
or
larger.
Middle school or high school?
I think in person would probably be a better
Yeah.
fit for something like this versus, because, I mean, you know how the connectivity issues that so many people
Yeah.
have across the county?
Yeah,
So I think in person would probably be better, but you're right, maybe we could do, because I guess the 75% is the capacity of whatever the location is, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now, is it now 75%?
I think it is 75%.
Well, we
So
could do
then
the
like,
gym,
so
maybe.
this gym, we would have to look to see how many
Right.
people can be
Mhm.
housed, and as long as it doesn't go above 75%.
Mhm.
But the other thing that I would also say is, I know you said north side, but you also have Marion, Boyd, and Vaughn.
Well, we don't wanna do them all at the same time, I don't think. would we?
No, I'm saying you
Mhm.
also have.
Yeah.
So then that would be potentially
But-
either be 2 to 3 events.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't it possible to do the sixth grade one day and the next day do the eighth grade?
That's well, it would be
That'll
5th,
cut
6th, and
down.
7th.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, we can do 3 days, you know, right back to back.
So
And
either by school or by grade, it's still 3.
Yeah,
That'll cut the numbers down.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so we are, I think we're in agreement that we need to have a town hall, correct?
I was waiting to speak.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering, with as much uncertainty as there is with COVID and this, there's just a lot of transition going on right now. And I'm wondering if the board, we've entertained this without necessarily making a decision to move forward. I wonder if this impacts how we feel about moving forward this year with this.
That's a good point.
There's a lot, we're talking about creating an atmosphere of invitation at the middle school, and I'm not sure, I'm walking lightly, but is now the time that we're gonna, really say, now you wanna come to the middle school? I'm not sure it's thought through enough, and I'm just gonna put that on the table as a consideration for the board at this point. It is it's April 28th.
I think it's a good point, but I also think that the more town halls we have and interaction with these staff and get the data from these, the community people will help us. So even if we didn't decide after the information not to move forward, at least we've done the work. That's the way I look at it. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's the way I look at it. At least we've done the work.
Only thing I would just interject and say on the side of administration, whenever the board decides, so say you all decided to leave the students, there still has to be a process for application. And if you decided to move the students, that probably would be a little easier because it would be like everybody automatically goes. And so so part of it is just, and I go back to just the backwards mapping, because similar to like South Warren, when South Warren closed, it was up in a tizzy because students didn't know where they were going, parents didn't know where their children were going, and because the decision was made. And so the only thing I just ask is that as early as possible, if the decision can be made, so that, there wouldn't be a lot of,
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, they know where they're going to this middle school.
Right.
no, I'm saying, so if the decision is middle school, then
it'd be
that would be
easier.
easy.
Easier.
However, if you all decided
Not to.
that not to, I'm
It'll be a
just
little more
saying,
difficult.
it would be, time would need to be put in place to transition. And
Right,
so,
right.
it's just a matter of,
So what's your thoughts, Sam? How do you feel about it? Should we have the town hall and discuss it? Should we wait? What's your thought?
I like the thought of the town hall, because even if we don't end up moving this year, we know that's on the
gotta
radar.
happen.
We know what's happening.
Yeah.
At least
So-
we're putting it out there.
Yeah, so at least, we're putting it out to let you know it's gonna happen.
Right.
Whether it's 21,
eventually
22.
anyway.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's in the works, so
Yeah.
I think I would like to have it, just to have the conversation with them as to why we want it to happen and what their thoughts are
Okay.
as to why they would leave.
Ms. Longs?
And
what's
my
your-
thing is, to have the town hall but I kind of agree with,
Victoria?
Victoria, because, maybe we need to wait, to do it, but at least we need to put it out there to the parents. This is what we need to do, what we are going to do.
Mhm.
This is what we want to do, whatever.
Linda?
I think the town hall meeting is a great idea. However, I do think we need to wait a little bit and think the process out.
So do you want to have a town hall now, or we already discussed that we may have to wait, you're right. But are you okay with the town hall is what I'm
When
asking?
you say now, when you say now, what do you mean, like tomorrow, or?
Like in a couple of weeks, sometime in May.
I
Early
would say in May,
Early May.
yeah. We can advertise in a
When
couple of
is
weeks to have a
school
town
end?
hall. Doesn't mean we have to move in that direction, but at least we hear from the community how they feel about it.
Right,
Are you okay with that?
sure.
All right, so we will schedule a town hall in a couple of weeks, and we'll get you
So
the
you'll
date.
just
Did we vote
provide
on
Ms.
that?
Nagorski the dates, and we'll make sure we publicize it.
Yeah,
So
say again,
we decided to have a town hall
correct.
in May? I'm just trying to be clear. I was not clear.
What are you not clear about?
I mean, I guess ask the question.
About the town
What's your
hall.
question?
And the date.
We haven't decided on a date. We said we would get back
Okay,
with her
but-
with the date.
But that is
If-
important, because we're postponing these kids having the opportunity to know where they're going to school next year until after that town hall. And so now we're talking about the end of May before families know.
We didn't say the end of May. We said we would have, in a couple of weeks, we would have a
Yeah.
town hall.
Well, that's
Okay,
middle
well,
May,
well,
so then we have to make a decision.
Yeah, this is my suggestion, that we kind of leave things like they are, and we can have the town hall later on in the year, you know, at the beginning of the school year or whatever, just to let parents know, if we decide to say, okay, we can just give it another year, so the parents can, you know, we can work.
So don't
things
have
out.
the town hall. I don't,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the town hall, but we don't have to have it now, because if we say that students will stay at Northside and Marion Board and wherever they are, stay at Northside.
okay.
So not trying to reinterpret, but it sounds like it's saying, Ms. Long was saying.
I understood
if
what
we
she
move-
said.
Oh, okay.
I understood. So what we'll do is we'll table it and we'll discuss. We'll discuss later. Not a problem.
And so,
Let's move on. I'll get back with you
okay,
and we'll discuss it.
okay. So that means right now, there's no movement.
There's no
Wait.
movement until I give you a call.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And so now we have Ms. Pulliam, who's gonna go over the other information item and then the action item for the tuition.
All right, everyone, what we have here are the state methodology, the allotment methodology, just to get an understanding of those different PRCs and how they are awarded. So our classroom teachers are awarded based on our ADM, and it's a point in time, so when we get these figures, it may be before school starts, so we get a lot of that money, and sometimes we have more students. So just keeping that in mind with those allotments. And you can see it covers the entire cost for that teacher. So regardless of what that teacher makes, if we use that position, that one position or however many positions, it pays for that entire cost. And this is one of those PRCs that can be transferred into our Restart PRC. And just to give you some information about Restart, with Restart, we get a lot of these different state pots of money, which are also called PRCs. And we have to take those pots of money and put them into 037. So DPI tells us exactly how much we have to put into there, but we just have to decide which one of those PRCs we're going to pull from. And usually PRC 001 is the largest one because we get the largest funding from it. So that's usually the biggest pot of money that we dump into the Restart pot of money. And you see those different years we've received there as well. And that'll be the same information.
Go back there.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
for the last one, the FY 21, 84.50, what's that number?
84.5 positions.
Okay.
So
these are
they're
positions.
allotted in positions.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. But when we transfer them to Restart, it's based on whatever the salary amount is assigned to a position that year. That's how much goes along with that number of positions.
Okay. And the number of students are per teacher, the classroom?
Yes, per grade,
Okay.
whatever grade it is.
Okay.
And then also keeping in mind, with the different grades, it depends on the school. So they give us it based on those particular students in the grade for the district. But then when you talk about those classrooms, it may be more teachers or even less maybe needed. Most of the time more to make sure we stay within this
Okay.
ratio here.
Okay.
I just want to add, and that's where, when Dr. Whitaker comes to you all and asks for permission to petition the state to sign those class waivers.
Yep.
So, you know, and that's, so this is the
That
other
makes
side
sense.
of it.
Anybody got any questions? Go ahead, Paul.
All right, next we have PRC 002, and it's titled Central Office Admin. And, this allotment has been frozen at the 02 level, so it hasn't changed. It just depends on whatever the legislative comes in and adds to it. But you'll see those positions that are paid out of it, the superintendent, executive cabinet, directors can be paid out of it, as well as the finance officer. And you see those amounts that we have received for the last 4 years. And this is not one that gets, can be used for restart budget. Okay,
So this one has actually increased.
Say again?
I said that one actually increased versus the other one decreased?
correct. That
Okay.
one did increase.
Okay,
It increased this year.
yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
it's been increasing, except in 19 it went
Yeah.
down. Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so 003, one of those restart ones we can use is for non-instructional staff. And for example, clerical staff, custodians, and substitutes could be used here. But all the times that I've been here, this entire amount is dumped into restart budget.
So, Pulliam, question, could we use some of the CARES funds for,
For restart? No, ma'am. It's just specific ones that you
Specific.
can use.
what about just the pay staff period?
We could,
We
we
can't.
could. Mhm.
So I guess my question would be, because we did get, what's the ballpark, not of the CARES Act money?
The first one that we got, I wanna say it was 900,000 about, that first one, that was the CARES Act.
900,000.
Yes, and then we have ESSER 2 that we're working on applying for, then we have ESSER 3 coming.
And I'm sure you're probably doing this, but I'm just thinking out loud. Would we use that money up and sort of not use ours?
Um,
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's a possibility, but I will add, the state basically says what you can
Can
use
use
the
it
money
for.
for.
mhm.
And a lot of the money is being used for remediation and social emotional learning because of the mental health.
And we had to use at least 20% of ESSER 2. It's mandatory that we use
For
that
mental
amount
health?
towards remediation.
So
Which is
Mandatory.
good.
Yes, it
Yeah, that's
definitely is.
great. Okay.
Did the
But-
substitute, I know we're not using them, excuse me, Madam Chair. Did the substitute pay go up? I know I
No,
heard that
ma'am.
in a lot of the other LEAs, that
Mhm.
it was going up because they were needing so many. We're not using them yet, are we? We're not using subs right now.
We
Yeah.
have,
Yeah, we have used substitutes.
yes, ma'am.
I mean, doing this since we've been back in
Yes,
March, okay.
ma'am.
Okay, I didn't think we were using them.
Yeah, mainly for those positions that haven't been filled, we have to use subs for
Yeah.
that.
Okay. But we didn't increase the sub pay.
No, ma'am.
Okay, we might need to look at that.
And that's based on the state as well. They may give a supplement or something. That might be what the districts
Okay,
are doing,
yeah,
but
okay.
that's based on what the state says as well.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
thank you. Oh.
Okay. Okay. That's good. That's good. But I just want to be clear, though, we could, I heard you say, and I want to just point of clarification, that we possibly could use some of that CARES money to help out with with staffing or salaries or whatever, so that, I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm sure we're going to use it all,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's the main thing.
Yes, we're gonna use all of that.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. And then, and also keeping in mind with the state funds, they don't roll over.
Right,
So
they
we
don't
try to
roll
lean on them first to get
Exactly.
them out of the
I
way.
got you.
So definitely if we had any overage,
Mhm.
especially related to COVID, we would definitely use those for
Okay.
those positions.
And I just want to interject, but the other big thing is that based on the audit, we should have at least $3 million in the fund balance. That is a healthy fund balance. And so even if we use all of the CARES Act money, even if you use all of what the state says, you know, the remaining money that could potentially come from local, my recommendation is it goes into the fund balance, because the fund balance,
It's
is,
like a
it's-
savings account.
yes, it's struggling.
And we should have, you said 3 million?
According to the auditor, he was saying we should have like
Yeah,
3
he did.
million.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't, so we,
I got you.
we know we're
We're
close
nowhere
to
near
that.
No, we're not even a half of it.
Cause I mean, and I'll go back to the purpose for that fund balance is something happens,
Yeah, something
you have
fall off.
nothing to fall back on.
Yeah,
And so basically, you end up being, you considered bankrupt.
right, I got
Cause you
you.
have nothing to fall back on.
So how much do we have in there, Ms. Cole?
The last audit is about
Yeah, it's
400,000.
not even a half
I
of it.
don't know, I
Yeah.
saw that one time, I didn't know if it was still
And
right.
so the goal is you wanna put as much as you can in
In
the
there.
fund balance to build it up.
Right. Okay,
All right, so we have our PRC 005 School Building Administration, and it's based on a DPI formula, and it can be used for principals and assistant principals, and this is another PRC that normally the entire amount gets dumped, and it's based on, position, well, this is based on months. So that's why you see that 102 and 115, that's how many months that they gave us. But when we convert it to restart, then they apply a certain dollar amount to those months, and that dollar amount gets moved to, restart. All right, we got 007, instructional support, which can be used for positions such as counselors and social workers. And you see it's based on 218.55 per ADM, and that's, months, months, because you see, positions, you see those positions right there, 8.94, 9.94. And it would cover the entire cost, just like the classroom teachers, but again, this amount of money is usually dumped into their, restart budget to fund it.
So if I can ask you, so if we have a counselor and it pays, you have to have a student allotment of 218. So what if the school doesn't have that number? It has 106, 8. So that money comes in, that additional money comes from local funds?
Local or some other state funds, some
Okay.
of the other ones are pretty flexible. State is pretty flexible for the most part.
And we still have some counselors that have 400 plus students and just one counselor at that school.
No, the high school has 2 counselors.
No, north side.
Northside
So-
does have 1 counselor.
Yeah,
That's right.
we need to work on that still. Okay,
And I
thank you.
just want to interject and say that the district should consider increasing the number of social workers, because the number of social workers prorated to the number of students they service
It's half.
is,
It's about half of what we,
Overwhelming.
yeah.
is,
Overwhelming, I
yes.
agree.
So I would say
I
that's
think we
something
need to
the
put money
district should look
Mhm.
at, considering increasing the number of social workers.
All right, so, PRC 012 is for driver's training, and we get those funds, of course, for driver's ed, and it's based on our 9th grade ADM. So you see those funds that we get each of the last 4 years. And this one, and that particular one can't be moved to restart.
Is there a fee, do we charge anything for driver's ed? Charge the
No.
students anything?
Okay.
No,
we don't.
because my son's in it right now, no.
Okay,
Oh. Okay.
that's good, huh?
Yeah. All right, so
Might be
PRC
something to look at.
013 is our CTE, and it's, months of employment. So you see that ADM is based on our 8th through 12th grade, so it's 10 months per, position. So those numbers that you see for those 4 years are months of employment. And this is one that can be moved to restart, but it's capped, so you can't move but so much. So usually we move whatever that max we can move, and the rest is for positions paid from this 013 CTE positions. Okay, 014 is another CTE. PRC can't be moved into restart, again, based on the 8th through 12th grade, and receive that base amount of 10,000, and then they look at whatever the ADM is, and you see those amounts. It went down a little bit this year.
It's gone down considerably though over the last 4 years, huh? And the one before that one too, I think. I was looking at the numbers. One,
Mhm.
yeah,
It has.
15,000.
Yeah,
Okay.
You think it would be the opposite for
It should be
CTE,
the
but
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's why I was like, why CTE going down?
Especially college and career ready,
Right.
if you're trying to
Right.
prepare to extend CTE, there should be
Yeah.
additional funds.
Wow.
Okay.
all right, 15 is our school technology fund based on K through 12, and you can see this went down tremendously. It caused a big uproar with our CTE folks. I know before Ernie left, he talked about it, but it's something based on whatever the legislature put out of there. They were thinking maybe it's because of the COVID funds we received, maybe why it went down so drastically.
It went from 75 to 23?
Yeah, from 23,000 to $128. So you see FY 20 was
Oh my God.
$23,000, and then this year we got $128. So you can imagine the
$128.
uproar that caused.
75 to 23 to
CTE.
$128.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
even that year, yeah.
And what is that based on?
It's based on our grades K through 12, but this year was something with legislature, why they decreased it so much. Yeah.
Of all years, technology.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that
to me.
really seems,
But they also did give CARES Act money and said you can use it for technology, and we did
Yeah.
use ours for technology.
Yeah.
So it's probably them
That's why.
saying, we gave it to you on this way,
But
so we
don't-
can
taking
take
it
it
back
from
out.
that. Yes.
Oh,
That makes
okay,
sense.
okay.
Rather than giving you
I got
here
you.
and here.
Now, that makes sense. So then we're not lacking though, if it's just for that allotment, I would guess. But it just looks really, really,
It does.
yeah,
It does.
okay.
But I mean, I will say though that this money is supposed to be used for the development and
CT.
implementation of the technology
Technology.
plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so the plan is not gonna move forward with $128,
Without the funds, right?
you know? But then you receive the money, but that money was for, technology, but it was for the laptops version of the technology, not the plan.
All right, we got 016 here for summer reading camps. We get this each year. And you see those amounts, we already got our 2 amounts for this year. They usually give it to us in two drops. So we got our $60,600 for this year, and it's for our 3rd graders and our 1st and 2nd graders to assist them during the summertime, do that reading camp.
And I just wanna add, I'm sorry, and I know Ms. Jennings will be presenting this to you at a later date, the summer school plan, but for the district, the summer school plan is gonna include all students. Although that 3rd grade money is just that, we're looking at the entire school district for summer school, which also includes transportation. And, I mean, meals will be free, of course, but it also includes transportation. So it'll be a more extensive, plan and also money.
More money.
And that will come from the CARES
Yes.
Act, the ESSER.
when we looked at the 1st through 3rd grade, were the exceptional children included in that?
Yes, they're included in there. And they also, got particular COVID money just for EC as well.
Okay.
All right, so 019, this is one of our bigger pots of money that we get for our schools, can't go into restart schools. And you see it's based on our allotted ADM, and you see those amounts that they assign. And this is one of our most flexible accounts, this 019. This is the one we use for our non-restart schools for their budgets. This is mainly what we use for them. And it has been going up a little each year. All right, 024, disadvantaged student supplement funding. And you see this, their methodology on the left. You see the uses, what we can use it for. And this can be transferred into restart, and usually this entire amount goes into restart. And our teacher assistants is based on our K through 3, because that's where we assign those teacher assistants to. Again, this goes into restart, and that entire amount usually goes into restart.
That's doing a lot too.
Behavioral support, you see is for assaulting, funding for assaulting and violent children programs, which provide appropriate education programs to students under 18 who suffer from emotional, mental, neurological disabilities accompanied by violent or assaulting behavior. And these are, they have to be used particularly but in this way, it can't be going to restart, and it has been going up slightly. It went down in 2020, but it did go up a little bit this year. 031 is one of our restart PRCs, and usually the entire amount goes into restart as well. Children with disabilities is based on the DPI formula, and it's for our EC program. And then you see those amounts. It went down a little bit this year. Been going down each year, it looks like.
And a lot of the difference comes from local funds. Because remember that formula we provided?
Yep.
The state doesn't fully fund our students with disability.
And they
So-
haven't for years.
And they haven't, so whatever the cap off is, anything more than that,
Goes in the local,
we,
comes from the
the
local.
local funds.
Yeah, it's a good point.
054, our limited English PRC. This one is just used for the limited English students. So you see those amounts that are here. Previous times we would pay a position from here, but this year we're just paying supplements out of this and any other supplies that we need for limited English. Cooperative Innovative Schools, PRC 055, this is for our early college, and this is the amount that they give us each year to be used towards that early college. 056 Transportation, just for transportation, anything related to our yellow buses, not our activity buses, but our yellow buses. So you see those amounts and how it goes down each year. We do sometimes get extra amounts for taxes that the state imposes. We get some of those for highway travel, so we get some of those to bring it up a little bit, but that's where we're at so far this year.
And if I'm not mistaken, the fund balance also covers that as well in some
Yes.
areas, special ed and transportation, because as you see, the funds have gone down, but the what needs to be done still needs to be done.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, 061, materials, instructional supplies, and equipment. This same one goes into restart. This is a restart one. I didn't put it here, but this entire amount goes into restart at 061. 069, this is one that goes into restart. It usually does not, but it's for the at-risk students in alternative schools. Was that the last one?
That was it.
Okay. So those are our main state PRCs and the methodology behind those funding. Any questions?
It's a lot of information,
Yes, ma'am.
but I tell you, I appreciate you breaking it down and sharing it with us because it does help us learn as we go, and I know you're the expert in it, so it does help kind of revisiting it
Yeah,
each meeting.
I'm starting to get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
You
it helps a
and me
lot.
both.
Thank you, Ms. Pulley.
You're welcome.
So Ms. Pullings also has an action item for the
Okay.
tuition fee.
All right, so we have our tuition
Okay.
that we're preparing for next year. And our tuition that this is what we charge those students who don't reside in the Warren County area but are attending school here. So we give them a tuition amount, and it's based on our current expense allotment that we get from the county. And then we divide our 20th day ADM, however many students we had on our 20th day, and that's how we get that calculated tuition amount. So for this year, it calculates to $2,660.92, and that was that calculation. And I just want to give you some history of the other ones. So this current year, the tuition is $2,650. For the FY20 year, it was $2,597. For 2019 year, it was $2,020, and then for FY18, it was $6,123.
Do you know how many students we have paying tuition?
So for in 18, it was 1, 19, it was 3, 20, it was 3, and this current year, 2. So we try to get that information out early to send to those families so they have for the new year.
Thank
This
you.
action.
So this is an action item, so I call for a motion.
Is that, at one time, or you break them up into semesters?
It's usually broken down into 2 payments, 10 payments, 10
Oh,
payments.
10 payments.
So they pay it monthly.
Oh, okay,
From
That's
July to around May.
okay.
Yeah, that's good. Is there a motion on the floor?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the FY 2021-2022 tuition fee as presented by Ms. Pulliam.
Second?
Was that you, Linda?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion was made and properly second by Ms. Byrd. May we vote, please? And then by raising our hand. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
all.
you, Ms. Pulliam. Okay. All right, so board chair announcements, April 29th and 30th, the North Carolina School Board Association online spring conference, and that's coming up, isn't it?
Thursday and Friday.
Yep, Thursday and Friday. May 11th, 2021, regular board meeting at 6 p.m. here at the Warren County Middle School Multipurpose Room. And then May 25th, 2021, work session / business meeting at 6 p.m. here at the middle school. That's all I have. Anybody else have anything? If not, Dr. Young? Okay. Okay. If not, I call for a motion to convene into closed session.
Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to convene in closed session to discuss confidential personnel matters according with General Statutes 143, 318.11, A1, A6, and 115C-321.
Second.
Motion has been made and properly second. May we vote, please? Motion carried. We're gonna take about 5 minutes. Is that okay? We'll take about 5 minutes and then we open session. Rejoin. Y'all got it, Sims and Lehman,
Sam's and Layman need to vote.
Did I not do it?
We don't need to vote.
at the top? You went in open session already? Don't worry about it. The motion carried, Lisa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right, we're gonna rejoin. All right, now we're in open session. All right, we do need to, the board is now back in open session. And we do need to, did we have any personnel report? We did not, did we?
No,
No, we
it's a
did
work
not.
session.
That's right. So, are there any other discussion from anybody? If not, I call for a motion with all the business concluded. I now call for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Don't we have to vote on something?
Just as work session, so we're good.
Oh,
Just
okay.
information.
Good, okay.
I'm sorry, I confused, I'm sorry. I call for a motion for us to
Madam
adjourn.
Chair, I make a motion, we adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Second.
Motion has been made by Victoria and second by Ms. Sims. May we all vote, please? And raising our hand, motion's carried. Thank you. Thank you all for a great meeting. I appreciate your time.